Welcome to Cryptid Radio. My name is Adeline. I've rigged up this relay tower to bring you broadcasts on the cryptids and creatures of the area. I'll come up and change out the holotape when I can. Oh my goodness. This week, I plan to tell you about the Squonk and the Veggieman, but I still don't know how to process what I've learned. I met Calvin VanLowe, the Calvin VanLowe, cryptid hunter of Appalachia. But that's not the name he goes by anymore. I'll keep that a secret for him still. But he's out there. He somehow survived the imposter sheep squatch attack. He managed to get to a stim pack to save his life, though he was horribly damaged and didn't think he was gonna live. Turns out, Calvin was afraid of death. Not the actual dying part, but the part where everyone forgets you. He was afraid of not leaving his mark on the world. So, he set out to record his final days on holotapes, hoping someone would find them and remember him. I guess he was tired of waiting for someone to find them, or he was ready for everyone to know the past, because he told me where they all were. The first one after the attack was so devastating. I almost turned it off. He was clearly on death's door, but along with that, you could hear the air raid sirens. You could hear the rumbling of the blast waves. I knew the war and the bombings were awful. I mean, I see just how awful they were daily. But hearing it, I never heard it. That's something completely different. The next one, he was in a little better condition. I'm not sure how long that took, but he went to find Ray. Turns out, Ray ran into the imposter sheep squatch too. It's what put him in the wheelchair. Laura had gone off on a supply run and hadn't come back for some time. Calvin had found her though. He knew she was dead. He tried to get Ray to go with him, but Ray insisted on staying. He just couldn't accept that Laura was gone for good. He died there, waiting for her. It's so sad. Love does crazy things to people. After Calvin left Ray, I guess he decided that he was well enough that he wasn't going to die anymore. But he couldn't be who he used to be. So he assumed a new identity, took on a new name, joined up with the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, and started running routes in Kentucky. After a few decades, he decided it was finally time to come back to Appalachia. When he got back, one of his first stops was Scoot's shack. Poor Calvin. All he found in Scoot's shack was the terminal entry from when Scoot went off to the church. Hope Calvin didn't go check the church. He would have found Scoot's Wendigo remains. No one needs to know that that was the fate of their close friend. I'm definitely never going to tell him. How would I even go about that? Hey man, you remember your friend Scoot? You know that last entry on his terminal at the church? Well, I went to investigate. Turns out the church fell into a sinkhole. Scoot fell in the church, broke both his legs real bad and couldn't get out. Then other people fell in too. One taught him how to lure people in and eat them. He turned into a cannibal. Well, not just a cannibal, but the worst kind of cannibal. A Wendigo! And I had to end him. So sorry. It kind of just doesn't seem right. So I'm going to steer clear of the topic. After I found all the holotapes for him, he revealed that he has family in the caravan with him that didn't know. So I helped him with that. They're getting to know each other. Shelly, his sister, still doesn't know he's alive, but that's something he's going to have to deal with on his own. So yeah, the cryptid expert formerly known as Calvin is here in Appalachia, and I somehow managed to keep my composure and help him out. I didn't even ask him all the questions I have about the cryptids in the area yet. But I totally fangirled when I got back home, and I plan to go back and talk to him more later, because how can I not? And in honor of meeting this amazing legend of a human, I'm going to share with you some cryptids I found among the notes in his office in VanLowe Taxidermy. I mean, I plan to talk about them anyway, but it definitely makes it sound cooler and more official since I freaking met him. Now, these cryptids I've only read about in books and the VanLowe taxidermy notes. I've asked around too. Raiders, settlers, brotherhood, other dwellers. No one's heard of them or spotted them recently. So they could have been wiped out by the bombs, or in the case of the Veggieman, just chose not to return to Earth. Because us humans have done a bang-up job making it inviting. And you know what? I'm okay with that one. First, we have the Squonk. Squonk is a creature that is said to have lived in the forests of Pennsylvania and West Virginia. It's a pig-shaped creature with ill-fitting, saggy skin covered in warts. The Squonk is ashamed of its appearance and hides from plain sight. It also spends most of its time weeping because of its shame. The poor fella, if he would have made it through the bombs, he would have fit in. Everything here is a little mutated and not quite perfect. Also, I would have loved to have him as a pet. Hunters that had tried to catch the Squonk said the creature dissolves completely into a pool of tears and bubbles when cornered. There was a man that said he coaxed the Squonk into a bag and carried it home. But when he got there, all that was left in the bag was liquid and bubbles. How he didn't feel it dissolve along the way is just strange to me, but whatever. It would make sense, though, that a beautiful, fragile creature like the Squonk didn't make it through the war. But for real, I'm sad that they're not still around. Then we have the Veggieman. The name is fun, I'm not gonna lie, but this story gives me the creeps. The Veggieman was said to be very tall, around 7 foot. He has very thin humanoid shape. As the name implied, the Veggieman appears to be partially plant-based. It possesses large ears with striking eyes that oscillate in colors, changing from red to yellow rapidly. Its thin arms give the impression of reeds by a riverbank. Its arms end in long fingers with suction cups that have thorns protruding from them. In 1968, Jennings Frederick was out hunting. As he moved through the woods, he heard an odd noise. It sounded like a record player was running faster than it should, sort of like a high-pitched jabbering. When he tracked down the source of the sound, he came face to face with the Veggieman. Frederick said it looked sickly and weakened, and when he got closer, the jabbering increased, and then suddenly he could make out the words. He heard, "You need not fear me. I wish to communicate. I come as a friend. We know of you all. I come in peace. I wish medical assistance. I need your help." Then the creature lunged at him. It wrapped him up in its surprisingly strong arms. Frederick was unable to break away from the embrace. Then the creature pierced his skins with the thorns on its fingers and began to drain blood from him. Frederick found himself enthralled by the flashing colors of the creature's eyes. He didn't want to move or break free. Then, as quickly as it had pounced, the Veggieman raced away. When Frederick came to his senses, he heard and then saw a spaceship take off into the sky. To this day, that is the only sighting of the Veggieman. And let me tell you, I am glad it is. A vampiric alien that could blend into the mire? No thanks. There's enough hiding out there as it is. Trust me. The world before the war might not have been as dangerous, depending on who you were and your occupation, but it still had some really interesting and unexplainable things in it. Until next time, keep your eyes open and stay safe out there.